Level 3s.
Listen.
Level 3 offenders. These are the ones that are classified in that definition as most likely to reoffend. Level 2s and level 3s are the ones that we send mailings out on, as I said in the past. Forgive me, I kind of lost my train of thought there.
For sure.
But again, we'll pick a geographical area within the address area that the person lives that we can get the most bang for our buck. If that means that we need to include and expand that area out to include daycares and things like that that don't normally get our mailings. Our mailings have automatic mailings that go to the schools in the areas. So they may not go right directly to the school, but they go to the school district. So any offenders that live within a, and most of them do, they'll go to that school district. We have an automatic mailing. It's nothing extra for us that we have to do. It just automatically goes to the school's aware of it. Then the school does what they need to do with that information at the school level. So if an offender moved in at the apartments over here on the other side of the parking lot, then I would guess that the district would then notify the school, hey, this person lives here. Years ago, each school used to carry within their office, usually it was kind of guarded by the principal, was what they call the RSO book. And a parent could come in and look at the RSO book. We don't do that anymore. Maybe some people do. I tell them not to, because like I said way back when we looked at that 39,000 mark, is the offenders move all over the place. So one day that might be good information, but 2 weeks later that might not be good information. Now we're putting information into people's heads that's not current. That's why we have the website. That's why we do the mailings on the level 2s and 3s and kidnappers, to make sure that information is current as we can get it. Yes, ma'am?
Is it our state law that we have to send out notifications?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
for level 2 and
So
level 3.
it's not that we have to send out notifications. We have to provide the public with public notification.
Okay.
So some agencies, bigger agencies where they have a lot of offenders, Pierce County, King County, will only do a mailing on somebody that is released from prison the first time. After that, they are on the website, obviously, and so any subsequent move after that, then they just make the update on the website. So when that person is now released back into the community after 7, 10, 15 years, whatever it might be, they'll do that one mail. And in the days of the way it is now with budgetary reasons and money and everything, mailings aren't free. I think that we had a guy where I did a mailing of $500, and I got called in and said, "What are you doing? Mailing, that's a lot of money." Yeah,
And taxpayers
this
are
is
paying
why.
for that.
So I justified it, and they understood why, but they're not used to seeing that $400, $500 mark.
Yeah.
So, and I think you've run into the same kind of
You
thing.
get that in the more dense areas of Everett. Downtown, you get that a lot. There's a whole bunch of people living right next to each other. I don't get a lot in apartments because typically they don't rent to sex offenders. Every time I get a sex offender notification to me that the guy's moving into an area and I see it's an apartment, I'll go try to contact them, and then I go talk to their management and go, hey, and they usually have, 99% of the time, usually have no idea that that person's a sex offender. So, but yeah, I get a pretty high bill every once in a while in certain neighborhoods, just because there's a lot of people.
Does that mean because in an apartment complex, they do a background check on the person?
Yeah, they do background
Okay.
checks on people.
So, I guess my question would be, if these guys are getting, or guys or women are getting out of prison, where do they rent if they can't rent? Where do they live?
So typically when they're first out of prison, they have some transitional housing available to them, which is supported by DSHS and Department of Corrections. And they're allowed to live there sometimes for a long time.
Okay.
I think that they can live there up to their last day of when they're on supervision. And some can make arrangements with the property owners to rent after that. So there is transitional housing available. They don't just kick them out of prison and send them down the road.
Okay.
That's not the way it works. They do provide option for housing if they need that. If they don't have any other support, they don't have any other family, they don't have anything that's provided for them. These are houses that are, clean and sober houses. They're not the best houses in the world. There's probably, there could be up to 15 people living in a 6-bedroom house, that kind of stuff. So it's not the best place to live, but they don't just kick them out on the street. If they release from prison and they release homeless, that's their choice. They have chosen to do that.
Okay.
So Department of Corrections is pretty good about trying to find them housing if that's what they want to do. And then DSHS kicks out a check for like $600 or something like that, that pays for their rent for a while. And I don't know how long that lasts, but it does pay for the rent at that housing. So again, they aren't just let out, to be homeless.
It just seems, not to play devil's advocate, but it seems like their housing opportunities are pretty limited.
They are.
Yeah,
They are.
and
For
that's,
level, yeah.
and that makes it tough
Mhm.
on society
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Because then you've got people that are saying, I'm not gonna live in this crowded house, so I'm gonna be homeless, and then they're out there.
Yeah, yeah. And we work with some of these offenders. I have a couple of offenders right now that, they're older. They've been in the community for a little while. I have one hasn't been in the community that long, but he has an opportunity for some pretty good housing, if we could lower his level. So I went through all the administrative stuff to see if I could actually do it and follow the policies that we have to follow. And yeah, I could, based on housing opportunity, based on his health. He has some health issues. Those were two of the things that I could articulate and support with documents, not getting too involved with the HIPAA laws and that kind of thing, but I was able to support it based on some of his treatment and getting him to a housing that was closer to his treatment.
Can they get lowered because of the time that they haven't recommitted also? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
So they could drop down, but they can never go lower than a level 1.
right.
Okay.
That's correct. That's
Okay.
correct. Yeah, and so where are we at here? I'll address that right now.
Oh,
The
okay.
leveling stuff and adjusting a level lower or higher. So if I have, right now, there's a law that if an offender requests from the sheriff's office to have a reduction in level, then we have to look at that.
Okay.
So, but you can't just call me up and say, hey, Berg, I want you to lower my level. That doesn't work that way. I need you to send me an email or send me a letter. I need to have documentation that you've requested that. So then I take that documentation, I put together an administrative checklist going through the administrative stuff that we have to go through, all the criminal history and all the things that I have to go through to make sure that they've been in the community for 5 years or more. That's the number, that's the magic number. You have to be in the community for 5 years or more prior to that request being processed. If they have not been in the community for 5 years or more, I can't process it. So that's the first step. Have they been in the community for 5 years or more? Okay? So in that 5 years, have they committed any disqualifying offense, which is any felony, basically. It's a long list of stuff I have to go through for that. So then I have to pull their criminal history and look through all of that and make sure that they're. Along with that, I have to look at any unadjudicated cases. So if they have something pending, I can't. I have to stop immediately. I can't process the request. So they have to be in the community, clean and free, without any problems, for 5 years prior to us doing anything.
Okay.
So now, flip the coin to go the other way. We have an offender that it comes out as a level 1, doing pretty good, commits another sex crime. Now we have documentation that he's now back doing some other things that he shouldn't be doing, and he's in custody now. We can either, if he's in custody, there's really no reason to, raise his level. Not going to do us any good. Wait till he's convicted, and now we have more documentation that we should raise this level to make the community aware of this individual that's now going to be released. Maybe we don't do it then. Maybe we wait until they're released from prison on that next conviction, and then it's all done again. And that goes through again through the Department of Corrections through the end of sentence review.
Okay.
So every
Thank you.
time these guys get put in prison for something, if they are a sex offender, they will go through end of sentence review to see what their level will be next.
Okay.
Okay, some of them change, some of them don't. Some of them get lower because their crime was so long ago and their current crime is a non-sexual crime, so it doesn't count in that scoring tool.
Oh.
So since there's been that gap of non-reoffending, then they can look at that and they can use that as a mitigating factor that, okay, you know, they went all these years as a level 2, and we're gonna release them now as a level 1. Mitigating factor is that they're in prison right now for a non-sexual crime. So that's some of the verbiage they use.
Okay.
Address verifications, this is what Detective Atwood and I do. City of Everett does the level 1s every 90 days, level 2s and 3s, and kidnappers every 30 days. 60 days. Right, listen to him, 60 days. The county, we do level 1s every 180 days, and level 2s and 3s every 90 days, and kidnappers, excuse me. Homeless, the way we do address verifications is just like this. We walk up to the door, knock on the door, do a face-to-face address verification. Okay, so face-to-face could be that I actually see the person, or I've been there 25 times and their wife's there. And the wife says, oh yeah, hey, Jim's at work right now. He got a double shift over at Boeing, whatever it might be, and he won't be home till 10 o'clock tonight. Cool, thank you very much. That's an address verification. We've confirmed that he lived there. We have from a reliable source that she's telling us, hey, he lives there, he's at work. We know that he works at Boeing because he's provided that information to us. That's a legitimate address verification. Go up to a house, knock on the door, and somebody we've never seen there. Hey, who are you? I'm the roommate. Hey, does Jim live here? Yeah, which Jim? A little suspicious. Maybe you don't believe what this guy's saying. Maybe show him a picture of this guy here. Oh yeah, he lives here. Okay, probably not going to take that at that point in time as an address verification. We're going to mark that as an attempted address verification. We'll come back in a day or two and see if we can catch him. Or ask the guy, hey, what's a good time to catch him here? You know, after 7 o'clock at night? Okay, he comes in, okay, cool. We'll come back after 7 o'clock at night. So, that's...
With that in mind, I'm sorry, with that in mind, in Oregon, I'm not wrong, I think I'm right. In Oregon, they have to come into the sheriff's office, the offenders have to come into the sheriff's office on their birthday and say, yeah, I'm still living at 123 Elm Street. And that's their address, right? So we, as you can see, take it a little more at a higher level of check.
Yes.
On the other side, on the bottom, it references homeless, and you've used homeless a couple of times.
This one or the next one?
Right here, it's
This one,
homeless
okay.
offenders.
Yep, we're gonna talk
How
about
do you
homeless in a
check in
minute.
with the
We're
homeless
gonna
guy
talk
on Tuesday?
We're going to talk about that right now. That's the
Okay.
next slide. So in Snohomish County, we have, that says 119 as of last November or something like that, whenever I did that. When did I do that? No, I did it in April. We had 119, we had 127, I think, today. 127 homeless. Okay, talk about Tuesdays. Tuesdays is the day that they are required to come to the sheriff's office on the 4th floor at the courthouse and check in. Okay, and they check in by bringing in a piece of paper that tells me where they've been staying for the last 7 days. And they hand that to the receptionist. The receptionist looks at it, she signs the bottom of it, they sign a log, and they're given another sheet for the next 7 days. So what they do essentially is they tell us where they've stayed. Do we check those? Absolutely. Do I check them all the time? No, I don't have enough time. Okay, I'll tell you right now that in Snohomish County, the entire county, we have almost 2,000 registered sex offenders. 127 of them as of today are homeless. I can't check 127 of those guys, along with the 300 and something that I have of 2s and 3s, along with you helping me and me helping you with your 200 and something, 300. And then our patrol guys, just like Everett, go out and check all the level 1s. They do that address verification, knock on the door. So to answer the question about homeless, they come to us. Okay? If they do not show up for 2 weeks or longer, so 2-3 weeks, and this is the charging standard by the sheriff's office, prosecutor's office, then we can begin what we call a failed to register case for them not showing up and checking in. Just like if we knock on that door and that person that we're talking to says, oh man, yeah, he moved out like 3 weeks ago. Cool. And we get a statement from that person that says, yes, I live here, this is who I am, and he, Joe, sex offender, moved out 3 weeks ago. And that's the beginning of our case. Beginning of our case with a homeless guy is that we have documentation that they haven't shown up for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. and then we start our failed to register case on that. And that case is pretty simple. Hadn't shown up for 3 weeks. You know, this is what he was convicted of a crime that's required him to register and check in. And then we will go through our sources with the U.S. Marshals and all of the things that we have to try to locate these guys. That's kind of the last ditch effort. It's not our job to play hide and seek and find them. It is our job to play hide and seek and find them once we get a warrant. So we don't have to go find them, bring them to the sheriff's office and say register. Okay? Do we at times get a hold of people and find them and say, hey, you moved, get in and register by tomorrow? And they're pretty Johnny on the spot when they get put on, you know, get put on the plate like that, and they get right in there. Yes, ma'am?
So I was just saying, we have like 5 minutes left.
Okay. All right. Address verification, homeless offenders, we got that. Oh, time requirements to register. There are lifetime. Class B felony, 15 years. Class C felony, 10 years. Okay, from their release into the community. So it's not 10 years from when they were convicted, or 15. It's when they were released back into the community. That time will start over if they're convicted of a failed to register or any other disqualifying offense. Their 15 years starts over. So a guy's about ready to get off his registration. He's going to have an admin, or he's going to have a timeout. Basically, his registration has expired. He gets off, and he gets popped for a drug charge, felony drug charge. 15 years can start over from the time he's out of prison or jail from there. I think everybody has everybody here received a mailing or a notification? No. Do you accept mail at your house? Okay. So I don't know why, but you may not be where somebody lives. It may not be that geographical circle that we put out there that you may not fall within it. I don't know. But I can certainly show you one later. Or right now. No, that's not one. This is our website. It looks a little different now, where you can go to the Snohomish County Sheriff's Office website, look for registered sex offenders, and underneath that is called Offender Watch. You want to click on that, and you can put in a search of your address or search near your address. You can also sign up, like Linda has done here, to receive notifications by email. Now, I know some people are a little skeptical of that. I don't want to let my email address out there. The email address is only used for notification purposes. They don't sell it. They don't do anything with it. It is guarded by the Offender Watch people, and I'll tell you why it's guarded by them. Because if we find out that they're selling or using people's email addresses that are receiving notifications for something other than that, not only all 39 counties here in Washington will drop them like a bad habit, but there are all other states or portions of other states that are using the same thing that have told them the same information. Do not sell this, do not use this. They're not going to do that because they want the business, and they make a ton of money doing what they're doing for us so we can manage these individuals. So, having said that, any questions?
Prior to Offender Watch,
Oh yeah, go.
prior to Offender
Go.
Watch, I think Sergeant Collier was in this, he wasn't a sergeant then, but, so when they had a sex offender move into an area, they got, I don't exactly know how they did it, but when they got notified, they had to send out the mailers. They literally did them by hand, up in an office, typing it out, licking the envelope. They had to go to a postmaster.
So they would take the big bin of all of these things they just put together and fold them, and they would take the big bin to the post office, and they'd have to divide them out into postal areas. So where you live might not be the same exact postal area as somebody else, and that's that last 4 digits, I think, on the post office thing. Yeah, I don't, it's beyond me, but they would have to divide every one of those up, and then the post office would take those stacks and then put them where they needed to go and put out. But they had to hand deliver them to